Evening and welcome to the December 13th, 2017 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. I think I can dispense with the general instructions tonight. Our first order of business is to vote some minutes. First, the meeting of August 30th. These we went through last week and gave Susan back some written comments.
I think what changed is that I wrote in the name of the architect. That's all the names I can say.
Yeah.
I think Courtney did the rest of the edits and sent it to you. I think she sent it to you today. So we can
Yeah, I saw it.
to the next one.
Well,
Okay.
I read it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve as given to us today.
Second.
Go ahead,
If I
Courtney.
can make one correction. Page 8. When I was commenting on whatever project it was, in the second line of my comments, it says water will be contained on the lot. The question, it was really a question, will water be contained on the lot, question mark. Then the rest of my comments make sense. So the word will should be put in the beginning of that sentence. It says water will be contained on the lot. It should be a question.
Why don't
Will
you
water be
just circle
contained
it
on the
and just
lot?
send it down?
So I've made the correction, I'll just pass it to her.
All right, so we did have a motion
So
and a second.
I'll
Is
amend
it-
my motion to incorporate that one change.
All right,
Oh.
I'll amend my second.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. All right, the minutes for December 6th. Is anybody?
I was not
didn't have any
present.
issue with them, I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, any comments, anyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
So the December 6th one, good?
Yes.
Good.
Request for continuance under determination of applicability. Claudia Pagani Revocable Trust, 100 Minot Road, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct a 13.6 square foot addition over the existing deck. So do we have a date for when this is being continued? This is the second continuance, is that right?
See off the top of my head, Madam Chairman, I'm not quite sure how many continuances has been on this one, but they do have a date here. They said the next available hearing, but they said that they were addressing outstanding order of conditions for compliance and need additional time. And I don't think 1 week is going to give them additional time.
No.
So let's,
Clearly it won't, because
It's
they
already
won't be
too
able
late.
to have something into us.
well, it goes tomorrow.
Oh, well, it won't be into Mark in time to review.
So let's go with January 10th. That's our next meeting.
All right.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Okay, going now right into request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the commission.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need to read this. New Silver Beach Improvement Association, Lot 673, West Avenue, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to remove the existing paved court area and fencing, to reconstruct the court area and install new fencing in a smaller footprint, to remove pavement and install a deep leaching catch basement, loam and seed area, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
For the record, Mike Porcelli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant, New Silver Beach Improvement Association. I'm joined tonight by David O'Keefe from the association. If there's any specific questions for Dave. The property in question is at the corner of West Avenue and Ocean View Avenue. It's within 100 feet and nearby to Wild Harbor. You may recall the town bulkhead that was reconstructed in the not-too-distant past. The town has a gravel parking lot adjacent to the bulkhead. There's single-family residences along Western Avenue, the tea room you may be familiar with, and there's more residents over here. And the property in question is an existing paved tennis court slash basketball court slash sort of play area for the association. There are some playground equipment in this location. It's sort of the gathering place for the young in the neighborhood. The wetland resources nearby include land under the ocean. There's a dune adjacent to the courts, between the courts and some houses. There's a coastal beach in this location. And of course, there's land subject to coastal storm flowage. The average elevation of this entire area is elevation 5. And the flood zone's AE 15, and there's also a VE 17 on the property, and that boundary is shown. And the A and B zones are also shown on the plan. And the project basically is to reconstruct the courts in effectively the same footprint, remove the fencing, demolish the court surface, rebuild it, and reinstall fencing. The actual courts will be the same, tennis and a basketball court. The site will be, when it's paved, graded to pitch slightly away from the harbor to a new catchment area between the courts and Ocean View Avenue. There'll be some pavement that's in this area that'll be removed, and it'll become a grass area, and the court is designed to pitch in that direction and drain into the catch basin. There's a limit of work in the form of a silt fence shown on the plan. The concept would be to first take down the fencing, then install the limit of work directly along the edge where the fence was, adjacent to the dune and around this end. Do the demolition of the surface, which will be pulverized, removed from site, and then the new surface would be installed, striping and new fencing, and of course the grass drainage area would also be installed. So all the work's basically in the same area, in an area that's already completely altered. And the net result is a slight improvement because the drainage will pitch away, and there'll be drainage on site where there is no drainage today. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Jen, do you have anything on this?
No.
Great. Courtney? Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. Excuse me, no. You're on, okay.
So I assume you're repaving this, is that what, yeah, okay.
Totally repaving,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I don't have a problem with I just have a question about the catch basin and the drainage. You got a lot of sand movement around over there. Is that catch basin just gonna fill up after a year or two? I mean, do you have a maintenance plan for that?
Well, the catch basin is in a grass depression, so the sand area around the catch basin will just, the sand would probably collect in the sand area, and if it does enter into the catch basin, it is a catch basin, so you just take the cover off and excavate it and catch the sand that may get into the catch basin to keep the cover clear. But it's basically a framing grade catch basin, so the water would like flow to the grass and it would just start to pond and then enter into the catch basin, which is a leaching catch basin.
Yeah. I mean, it's an improvement over what's there, that's fine. Okay, no other questions?
Thanks, Courtney. Maury?
Are you gonna grind it or just resurface right over the top?
We're going to demolition, and we're not grinding and regrading, we're removing and completely replacing with a different type of material.
Okay, tennis court material. In that
Yes.
case, then I think that a silt fence would probably not be appropriate. I think you're gonna need a little bit more substantial if everything's gonna be gone. then there'll be more chance of erosion, so we'll just put that in the,
Okay.
yes. And then this whole thing's in a V zone, am I correct?
There's a
No.
boundary for A, B that runs right here, this blue line.
Okay.
So
Here.
from,
So the one shed is in the V zone?
this existing shed's in the V zone, yes.
Okay. And that was a permitted shed?
I know nothing about the history of the
Okay.
shed.
It's just, okay. And then the last question, Mike, did you do a perk test for that? I know you have unsuitables for the catch basin, but where's groundwater?
Groundwater, we know from experience, groundwater is at elevation .5 in this area. We have not done a perk test here because it's paved right now, but nearby perk tests have demonstrated that it's sandy material.
Okay.
And I know also that high groundwater is elevation .5. So this is a shallow leaching pit, so
It says here, what is it, 6 foot
it's a 4 foot. 4 foot deep, 6 foot diameter.
diameter, 4 foot deep?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Substantial.
Is that it, Maureen?
That's it.
Okay, Betsy?
have nothing, thanks.
Nothing. Jamie?
So the shed remains?
Yeah, they want to just, if the shed's, portable, it just sits right on the pavement, they're going to take it off, redo it, and then put it back. They use it for storage of stuff.
Why don't they move it up here?
And what's the new surface gonna be?
You want to speak to that, Dave? You
Post
gotta-
tension concrete.
I'm sorry, you need to identify yourself at the podium.
If they're gonna redo this whole thing, why don't they take that out of the V zone?
Hi, I'm Dave O'Keefe. I'm the current president of the Silver Beach Improvement Association. The new surface is planned to be post-tension concrete, which through our research we've determined would be a better solution given the unstable base that's underneath it, and it will last longer and provide a better product.
Thank you. All I have.
Okay, Steve?
I don't have any questions.
Peter?
No questions.
Mark? No questions? Okay, Betsy's got a question.
So, I mean, I was thinking of that, and you just mentioned it, so you're not putting any base layer underneath this?
I can answer that. What they're going to do is remove the old pavement,
Right.
and then they're going to basically regrade the base material that's under there.
Which is presumably sand?
It's compacted like dense grade material, whatever you would put on.
Or
the
whatever
pavement.
was under the base
Pavement.
of what's previous?
Yes. The
Okay.
only difference is we're going to have to regrade it away. It's going to have a slight pitch away, so they're going to regrade it that direction.
Right,
And then
so
the
when
post-
you cover it, it will continue to grade down that way?
Yes, yes. And then the post-tensioning is, it's a method where they, there's tension cords within the concrete that keeps, it's designed as a reinforced like concrete surface, and the post-tensioning prevents from cracking the surface.
So it's some kind of fiber that's in there, like
It's sort of
hidden
a-
rebar or something?
It's like cabling,
Yeah,
steel cabling.
okay.
Okay?
Yep, thank you. One last question.
Yeah.
Because you're regrading all this and the shed's gonna go, maybe you might wanna consider putting that shed outside of the V zone? Only because I'm sure if we asked if it was permitted, I'm sure it's probably not. I mean, you already have a shed up here now, and it would be an opportunity to have more room on the court, number one, and number two, it's out of the V zone.
I think that's something to consider.
That's all, thank you.
Okay, Courtney, you have something?
When you regrade this, you're gonna have to bring any material in?
No. In fact, we'll probably have to haul some out because we're going to do a slight negative grade that direction, so it'll be a very slight cut.
So you're gonna grind up the material and leave it on site?
No, we're going to just strip it and haul it away.
Okay.
Jen?
Mike, who's doing the work?
You know, it's still up to bid, but you want to talk about the company dealing?
So we have talked to a number of vendors in the area and got them to come down and do some estimates and give us some recommendations. As far as we have a committee that was formed for this project, and as a committee, we're recommending to our membership that we go with the post-tension concrete. And the key vendor that we've been dealing with in the area is Cape and Islands Tennis and Track, which is
So
there.
you are gonna have, just so that you know, it's your property, you will have a start, a 10-day start work. So your contractor's going to have to notify the department when you start work. Okay?
Take him through all those conditions when.
You can take the association president through all the conditions in the world. It's the contractor that needs to let me know. So you're in charge of your contractor. So I just want to know who's going to be working out there. It's really close to the heart and stuff.
Okay, anything else?
I make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. There your report. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's okay. I have one more. Rand's Canal Association, Inc., Rand's Canal, map 02-01-002-001, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to redredge approximately 1,250 cubic yards of material 5 feet below mean low water with a potential overdredge to 6 feet below mean low water from the Rand's Canal Channel entrance using a barge and from shore. Work activities include creating a 16-foot wide construction access and dewatering area through coastal dune, removal of sand through trucks for the Falmouth Beach Department, replanting with beach grass to restore access as a 4-foot path, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Hello again, Madam Chairman, Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. I represent the applicant, Rand's Canal Association. Mr. Steve Good is here tonight, a member and the lead man for the association in dredging this channel. For permission to do a maintenance dredging project in a location that was previously issued an order of conditions by this commission in 2008. And also the local state and federal agencies have also issued permits. The other permits, other than the Conservation Commission permit, had a 10-year life, and they're still active. In fact, the water quality cert expires in March of 2019. The association, through the efforts of Mr. Good and his company who are in the excavating business, were able to maintain this channel during the life of the order of conditions. However, the order has expired. This is effectively a redo. The plans were previously prepared by Barbara Frappier at Warwick, and we were contacted by Mr. Good, since you all know Barbara is retired, and basically reviewed all of the previous permits and the plans prepared by Warwick and mimicked, in a way, I guess is the right word. We're basically doing the same project, with the exception of one thing. The original application had a proposal for beach nourishment on this beach. That is not in the application this time. The project is to maintenance dredge this channel. There's some shoaling here now that makes it difficult for the recreational boaters who live upstream in the canal, which is a man-made canal, to gain access at low tides in this narrow section. So the dredging process would include the removal of the sand by either crane-mounted barge or excavator that would be staged on the beach. The same exact methodology that you reviewed and approved on the last order of conditions. If the material is dredged from the barge. It's first placed on the barge, and an initial dewatering occurs. Then it would be offloaded, and then placed by a beach-staged excavator onto trucks. And the trucks would make use of Rand's Canal, I think it's called Rand's Canal Road. There's a dirt road if you went down to the site that runs along parallel to Rand's Canal. I hope you're able to find it. I put a series of signs up with arrows. I hope you saw them. There's the construction access to the beach is here. We're showing limits of work to preserve the surrounding beach grass areas. There is some American beach grass that would be crossed. It would be protected by mats. And then upon completion of the work, the mats would be removed, and any damage to the American beach grass in the access would be reestablished by planting additional beach grass. This occurred at the last go-around, and Mr. Good planted American beach grass subsequent to that effort, and it's grown very vigorously, and there's more beach grass here now than there was prior to the initial dredging because of the replanting of the beach grass. Some of the dredging will be performed from an excavator on the beach. There's a beach on this side. The crane excavator would stage here, and it has a long boom reach that can reach pretty much most of this area by moving back and forth on the beach. It would be dewatered by putting it in this dewatering basin, same exact type of dewatering basin as the original plans. Once dewatered, put on trucks and hauled off-site. The designated area for the use of the beach grass has not been specifically identified, but the Falmouth Beach Committee, through the beach superintendent, Bruce Magardo, has expressed desire to take the sand. There's a letter to that effect in the application. And they're, at this point in time, happy to take the material. They have a place to stockpile it, not in a resource area, and they make a decision based on the needs in the town beaches and whatever permitting they have where the sand could be put to best use. So that's the plan for the beach. It's the dredge spoils. The quality of the sand is very good. The results of the testing are in your file. That's why the application's so thick. I think there was a 54-page report on the testing. It's compatible with what you'd expect. It's the same as it was last time, as you'd expect, and it's suitable for beach nourishment. We met with Jen. We've met with Chuck Martinson. There's a letter, or there's correspondence from Chuck supporting this application in the file. There's a memo from the harbor master supporting this. Steve, Chuck, and I met with Jen last week to review the project, and there was one concern raised, and we're more than willing to work with you and address it, and it actually mirrors a comment from the Division of Marine Fisheries. We got the Division of Marine Fisheries letter today. There is a concern for dredging being so nearby to the salt marsh peat shelf on the east side. So I'm happy to submit a revised plan that makes it clear that there'd be no dredging within a 15-foot distance from the edge of this peat shelf, which would basically shift this over closer to the actual sandy beach and realign this slightly and put notes on the plan that the peat shelf and adjacent salt marsh shall be protected. I think that's the only comment we've received as a recommendation. The total volume is estimated at 1,250 cubic yards. It's basically dredging to the same geometry as previous, with a potential over dredge of 1 foot to -6. There is a condition in the old order and a condition in the state permit about a window of no dredge window, which is during the herring run season, which is March 15th to June 15th. So if the Conservation Commission issues a favorable order of conditions, then the applicant intends to go in before March 15th and get the work done. We did specifically ask in the application, in this case, for a 5-year term, which is appropriate for some types of projects, like in maintenance dredging is one, to eliminate the need to come back after 3 years or just before 3 years and ask for an extension or refile. On average, I think Steve said that they dredge every 6 or 7 years, every 8 years. So we probably would monitor it, but we probably would only need to do it this one time, or we'd review it probably in the 4th or 5th year and see if there's another need. If not, we probably wouldn't do it for another few years after that and come back again. I think that sums up the project, and I'm here as well as Mr. Good if there's any questions. Steve takes an active role in the dredging process. He's physically on the site during that process.
Thank you, Mike. Jen?
Couple of things, Mike, is when we met, I said that not a 15-foot, but 25-foot, and that's what it says in Division of Marine Fisheries.
Okay.
That brings your footprint out to basically the closest point to the west side of the channel is where the word dredge is. So if your client, Mr. Good, if you're comfortable with that, from where that word dredge is, more or less. West of that, you still have about 40 feet of channel.
The center line you're referring to?
I'm almost referring to the center line.
Right.
Because that's that 25-foot that I talked about in our thing.
That is
about
the center line.
something from the marsh, and that's what Division of Marine Fisheries says.
shift over everything we want.
So you're saying the whole channel is gonna come
Yeah,
south?
I mean, that's-
south.
I'm just saying that's where that 25-foot line
A
lies.
lot of places
So
like
you
that.
guys can, I'm
The
just,
channel will be on one side. Okay. And then you would expect,
okay.
you would expect them to.
And then, Mike, just a clarification, your window is March 15th through June 30th.
Oh, June 30th, okay.
Yes.
We hope to get in before March 15th.
Make
So it was
sense.
that 25 for the song. And that, I knew that was going to be. what-
Yeah.
Other than that, oh, one other question, Mike, and you and I briefly talked about this today. Says there's another party that wants your sand. Is it still going to be placed on trucks and trucks on site, or would there be any consideration to bring it over there by the barge or pump it? Because that would require an amendment.
Yes.
Once it goes into the trucks and it's being hauled off site, I personally know the town gets it or another entity gets it. If the transportation to another site changes, it'll trigger an amendment, just to let you know.
Yes,
Okay?
I can tell you the method of dredging will remain the same.
And the method of transportation of the sand, the removal of
Yes,
sand? Okay.
yes. If there are other parties closer nearby and it's more cost effective and there are permits in place for nourishment, wherever that may be,
No, I'm just saying, if that sand, let's say, a nearby party wanted it and was able to secure the permits in time to coincide with your project, if it was going to be transported by water, it would trigger an amendment
Get
on
it.
this permit.
yes, understood.
Okay. Once it goes in the truck, it's being hauled down the road, you can bring the sand wherever you'd like.
Right.
Well, not,
Well, as long as it's a permanent sign, that's fine, but
Well, in the interest of our interest is to get it done before the
I
Herring
know.
window.
Yeah, I know. So
Okay.
you probably don't want to see any amendments to this project.
Right.
Yeah, okay. That was it.
okay, thanks.
Just want to
Mark.
make sure all the parties are aware.
I can't really see how you're gonna be able to move that channel out 25 feet and still make it as wide as you show here without chewing up much of the beach.
We're gonna shift the center line over,
That's just our recommendation.
when we shift it over, we may have to narrow up the channel as well. Basically, this
Right.
channel width will shift, the bottom of the channel will shift over, about to here. And then we're gonna have to re-profile that beach so that this slope doesn't affect that salt marsh, and the bottom of the channel gets shifted over. Thankfully, there's no salt marsh
Right.
nearby, so it'll basically just realign this and shift it slightly to the west.
You might wanna fix up the drawing a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna revise it. I'm gonna submit a revised plan.
Thank you. That's all.
Is that it? Mark?
That's all.
Okay. Peter?
No questions.
Steve?
I just, the ownership of the property, it belongs to,
Well, the properties that are referenced for.
there's a lot of legal, when I was researching the case, I found several legal cases involving this piece of beach.
Yes.
Fascinating histories of Falmouth. I enjoy going through this stuff, but I was curious as to, is the Rand Beach Association own the property? They have the right to use the property, and whoever owns the property is on board with all this? I don't need to know exactly who owns it, because it looks confusing.
Well, they are on board, and they've actually submitted correspondence that we provided saying that they're encouraging that the dredging occur.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Steve.
Make sure they have the right to use it.
Jamie?
Well, dig it up.
Betsy?
It's gonna be gone.
I was just a little confused about timing. So we're in 2017, and presumably you're going to do this spring of 2018. But your other permits are going to be up in 2020,
2019.
2019. So why do you want this to be 5 years?
Because we'll reserve the right to reapply for our other permits and extend that window out again if we determine we need to do another dredging some point subsequent to late winter of 2018. You know, the goal is to dredge in February if we were to get an order of conditions, February of 2018. If we have an order of conditions, that's good for 3 years, let's say. We're still covered for 3 years, which means your permit would have a longer life than the current other permit at the state level would, because that would expire before your permit expires. But it gives us the opportunity to reapply
For that other
to
permit?
get a longer period. They would reissue a longer term that would then leapfrog over your deadline to a longer deadline and give us like flexibility in the future to not have to come back to you folks. If you, I mean, we thought it was an efficient way to do it, so we'd have two.
But it's unlikely if normally you dredge only every 6 or 7 years,
8.
8 years. It's unlikely that you would be doing 2 dredging under 1 permit.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah,
something we can
it's
discuss.
unlikely,
I just
it's
wondering,
just
I just
gives
want to
us-
know your reasoning.
Just because more time's better. Gives you more flexibility, that's all.
Well, while you're redoing the plan, note number
3.
3, thank you. Note number 3, you say you're going to talk to DPW for a shellfish relay, but I know you know that's not supposed to be, because that's not what you have in your text. So change that to DMES, please.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Mike, when you were talking, it's something that Mark said down there. Are you dredging the coastal beach? It's clearer on your plan where you show the beach, and not so clear in this one, but are you dredging into the beach and taking the beach away?
The tidal zone between mean high and mean low is a sandy slope, and it slopes right down, so that slope will be, the toe of that slope will be dredged and regraded, so the beach will still remain, it'll just have a different profile. We're basically trying to fit that channel, that cross-section channel that exists, is just shoaled up, just to maintain what was already there. But we'll shift it away from the salt marsh just to make sure we protect it.
So between mean high and mean low, that low tide area of beach will be gone.
The sand, the shoaling of it will be gone, and the whole thing will shift to the west, so you'll reestablish a new profile on the
It'll
beach.
just be gone. I know what you're saying, like, you're playing with your words, you're gonna be dredging right through it, and then it will just reestablish the profile, but that area that exists between mean high and mean low right now will be gone.
Right, that's what has shoaled. That's the shoaling, that we're basically gonna reestablish the channel through the shoaled.
How many docks are open right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do you
About 12.
I count 9.
Plus the town one.
What did she ask, how many dogs? I spoke with someone,
Yeah, I mean, but that's what happens. I mean, when,
there are 10
when the,
moors.
when the waves and wind
There are 10
primarily
town
come from the
moors.
southwest, you're gonna get a
It
point.
looks like 1, 2, 3,
There.
4, 5, 6,
Clear on that thing, but you don't really show, you just label it.
5, 6, 7, 8 docks and 10 moorings.
Well, coastal beaches
And I can't really
defines,
tell when I go out in the field where,
Yeah.
you know, lines up.
well, I believe the definition's mean high seaward to mean low coastal beach. So, I mean, basically that shoaled slope, we're gonna, you know, remove the sand that is slumped into the channel.
Or built up.
All set, Jen?
Yeah.
Maury?
I think Betsy still, are you
Oh,
all
I'm
done?
sorry,
No, I'm
Betsy.
done.
You're
Yeah,
done,
thanks.
okay.
Was there ever an as-built done for the last time this was dredged?
Not by our office. We resurveyed it as part of this application. This is all fresh
Fresh.
soundings that were done like in the last 4 to 6 weeks.
So we should probably make sure we put the old file into this record, so we can compare them. And who's going to be in charge of determining the depth when the who's on the barge, to make sure you're not over digging?
Yes, please.
Well, I'm more pointing to you because he's gonna be the one that makes sure. He's likely to be the one excavating.
Stephen Good, the president of the Rance Canal Association. The operator of the barge actually does that. They can determine the depth very simply by using the boom.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because what happens a lot of times is when they do these over dredgings, then everything slumps off, and, you know, when you're getting close to the edges. So we've had problems before. I just want to make sure that it's not too aggressive, because I know when you're in there, you'll want to get her done, but
Right.
it doesn't make it better.
This will be my third time doing this. This is the
Okay.
fourth time it's been dredging. This will be the third time that I'll be doing it personally. So I'm pretty familiar with it. There's actually very little work we do with the barge. The barge is, where you see the barge locations, that just seeks its own course. So that's really just removing a couple little humps. Most of the work's done with the excavator on the beach, where that shoaling of that nipple that goes out and closes the channel in is just brought back into where it was before. And so most of the work is done right there on the beach.
Okay, and I noticed that the soundings are goes pretty shallow up in there, so. And then we have the time restrictions, and I think that was it. And then, obviously, Chuck didn't make a comment on that, but it will be the DMF that does
Thank you.
or
No questions.
Yeah. No questions? Okay, Kevin? No. Betsy?
Are there, I mean, I didn't see the letter from Marine Fisheries. Are there, I'm just checking, are there any time restrictions?
County restriction from March to June, eelgrass beds for, they want you to use silt curtains, adequate containment measures such as silt curtains to be required to minimize the impact of fine grain sediments on the nearshore resource area. Plan shows that a portion of the proposed dredge footprint extends into the intertidal area that could result in plunging of the intertidal bank into the dredged area. Every effort should be made to avoid loss of intertidal habitat, which is what I was getting to. And to avoid slumping of the nearby salt marsh, no dredging should take place within 25 feet of the salt marsh. Courtney, can you pass that down so they can get that? I'm sure we'll put it in the record.
Oh, do you need,
There's a comment about eelgrass in here. I don't see any eelgrass shown on this plan.
Offshore.
Okay,
Offshore.
Yeah,
Okay.
There's no eelgrass in this.
all right, I just
Mike,
making,
you gotta give us a revised plan.
Yes.
so there's nothing about winter flounder here?
Nothing about winter flounder. We talked about winter flounder in our
Yeah, we were worried that there'd be a winter flounder window that crossed the herring window and there'd be no
Yeah.
chance to dredge, but
Either that or the state is gonna be ready like next week. But
Called
you're
the
not gonna
Christmas
winter
dredge.
flounder. I'm good with that.
Rather Grinch one. Mark?
Yes, I'm a little confused. This board had a serious problem with the Perch Pond dredging because of the shellfish, possible shellfish in the Jedge Channel. No comment about
No,
that.
that wasn't possible shellfish. There
there's-
was tremendous amount of shellfish.
There certainly are shellfish here, too. Why isn't it an issue, or why was it then?
Perch Pond has always historically been a very important shellfish resource for the
This is a
town,
man-made
commercial
canal.
guys and the recreational shellfishermen. And the shellfish constable felt very strongly about the Perch Pond project. They were consulted with this project and felt their opinion was that it was okay. It has been dredged in the past and they considered it maintenance dredging.
Perch
And it's a
Pond
man-made-
had
This is
been
also
dredged.
man-made. This was man-made for,
Yeah, and it's a man.
it's a man-made
Right,
canal.
But that's sort of, that's past, right?
That's past, yeah.
Ancient history.
I don't
What
buy the
happened now is
man-made
what's
part.
now, not what was then. But I'm just
You can
confused why
ask the
Perch Pond
shellfish
took so much
constable.
heat and this one didn't.
Hmm?
I'm just confused why Perch Pond took so much heat and this one didn't.
It had,
Because
and it
this
had to
doesn't-
do,
I
and
was told by
it had to do with
people
the,
who were there that this is excellent shellfishing, good shellfishing.
It's a different set of circumstances, Norm.
and it's a different kind of
Thank
and
shellfish.
it's a different kind of
It's a different kind of
shellfish.
shellfish.
This is cohogs, not.
This is
Yeah.
cohogs, it's not soft shell.
Oh,
So you can relay them
Okay.
easy.
You're right. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I'll make a motion. Shall I make a motion?
Please
I'll
do.
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
What?
We're just
Comment.
making sure when's the revised plan
We
coming.
are going to see a revised plan.
Yeah, it's gonna be 25 feet off of that salt.
yeah, when is the big question. I'm gonna need a week, I'm gonna need some time to
All right,
see.
You guys wanna see the
I
revised?
think we
Yeah, I
should.
think we should.
I'd rather continue I to do see a too. revised plan and then.
Yep. So
So you have to withdraw
I withdraw.
Can I talk about that for a minute?
Yes.
We're a little worried about time, because when you do close the hearing, there's a 21, you issue within 21 days. So we continue now till January 10th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you close on the 10th and issue on January 31st.
I can probably get it to you sooner than that.
Is that still okay? I mean, not that we have a choice, but I was just wanting to make sure, Mr. Goodman, so we'll have if we satisfy you, we'll have a order of conditions on or about January 31st.
Like I said, I can probably get it to you sooner than that.
Well, I'm not trying to, I just want to.
We're going
I
to
didn't know
continue
if
it
was
to the
necessary
10th, then we have to
continue.
vote.
Yeah, we think it's
We
necessary.
do,
Okay.
yeah. So, okay, your motion was withdrawn, was the second withdrawn?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to continue to January 10th.
Okay.
Second.
And it should be a short continuance, because you'll get it to us a week ahead of time, and we can check everything we need to.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry, we closed it, but, so if we hear it on the 10th, and then we would vote it on the 17th, or,
We'll close it on the 10th, we'll vote it on the
17.
17th, and we can issue the order after that.
all right, I'm just
That's fine.
following up on
That's why I
there.
said honor before, like honor.
I know we close it, and then we have to vote it,
Yep.
and we're on this winter schedule, and,
Right.
No.
Losing track of things.
There's no more winter schedule for you until I talk to Karen.
Oh, you mean, right,
You're meeting on the 17th, don't worry.
okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure the applicant was
Not all he
aware.
wants to, you want to give him the day off.
Huh?
We need this public hearing first.
December 20th meeting, I thought that was appropriate.
Okay,
I emailed you.
okay,
That's what you do, 2 weeks off, you have a week of Christmas, a week after Christmas.
maybe. I looked at my email almost right before I went to the house. I didn't get hers, I didn't get Courtney's, I didn't see yours.
Oh,
Maybe it was just delayed. Okay, sorry.
that happened.
Continued request for a hearing under a notice of intent. Olga Bariski, 2 Wigwam Road, West Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct a wading pool and pool patio, install a dry well, and the associated excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Madam Chairman, it's Mark, Peter, Jamie, Mary, Betsy, Maury, Courtney, and Kevin. Steve, you're off the hook on this.
Great, I'm babysitting. You got 2 little kids home alone.
Good night, Steve. Oh,
Have fun.
See you next week.
all right, good night.
We'll be here again, Susan, just in case you were wondering.
He's going to Ireland. Here next week.
That's why you got your pledge today.
Okay,
So pace yourself.
thank you. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Certainly.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, Mark, I mean Mike, sorry. Take it away.
Madam Chairman, this is a continued hearing. You originally heard this a few weeks ago. Mr. Bariski, the applicant, is here with me tonight, and the project plan has not changed. We had discussions at the last hearing about the DCPC regulations. We did re-review them. We had reviewed them, we re-reviewed them, and we do agree. We agree with Commissioner Hollow-Hawks that the DCPC regs do apply. But in our reading of the regulations, we believe that the project as it's proposed meets the regulations, and I can go into why. So we're actually, if you remember, this project is a proposal for a therapy pool that is proposed to sit on a 4 to 6 inch thick slab that will measure 12 foot by 12 foot, or 144 square feet of footprint, and it'll be located in a place directly adjacent to a deck in an area that was previously altered and is currently bark mulch. And I talked about alteration, how this wasn't creating any additional alteration. But there are very specific sections in the DCPC regs and performance standards. And these regs give you discretion, and I think that they were designed to give you discretion when they were promulgated back in the beginning. I think it was in the mid-90s or late 90s. So I was asked to go through the calculations of the DCPC, and I did go through the calculations. If you remember, we proposed to meet the standards in FWR 10.18, your redevelopment standards that require mitigation, and the mitigation requirement is 3 to 1. So the mitigation requirement would be 432 square feet. We had proposed additional mitigation, if you recall, but some of the places really weren't logical for mitigation, and there was a recommendation by Jen that we not plant in some of these areas that we earmarked to plant, so we did that. So the mitigation planting is shown in green in the most logical places, as close to the resource areas as possible. And the plan meets the 3-to-1, it exceeds the 3-to-1. But the DCPC regs are very different and unique. You may not even be subject to the FWR 1.8 and still be subject to DCPC, because you can be in a DCPC in more than 100 feet from anything, any wetland resource. So I'm here tonight to try to persuade you that you can approve this project, and I just wanted to explain why, and I did this to try to make it a little easier, if it does.
Mike, do you have that in a small handout? I asked you to bring handouts to the board.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, because I think it would be very helpful, given that you've had a month to provide the DCBC count to the board, and we haven't seen it yet. And I
We don't even have them in our file.
phone, but
You know what? I really don't want to see them right now. I came in today, I was here for a couple of hours today. I went down because I thought Courtney stole my file for next week. He stole my files this week, but I thought he stole mine for next
We
week.
digress.
But I didn't have it.
I'm not,
I
honestly,
don't
I'm
want
not
to even
discussing
look at
these.
this right now.
You don't want to...
No, you can ask for a continuance, and you can show us the calcs.
We asked for these,
We asked, what came in the last hearing was, a lot of stuff has been put on this site, and it seemed to me like some of it might have been put without permission. I want to see what
can I have one, Mike?
has been built on this site since,
I can't read that.
since 96.
Mike
Mike,
needs one.
I'm listening.
I want to see what's been put on this site since 96 and to see whether it was properly permitted.
We have looked at the aerial photos. I've actually had a conversation with Jen about this. Our review of the aerial photos are such that there's no evidence on the aerial photos that lead us to believe that any alterations have occurred. This project was approved in the mid-1980s. It was issued in order of conditions, and the house was constructed, the driveway, the areas of landscaping were occurred. All of the alteration was approved prior to the DCP regs. We have not seen any evidence, and my client tells me that there haven't been any alterations subsequent to the DCPC regs. So I was prepared to say that a little bit later, but I'm saying
that
it
should have
now.
been presented in a letter from you.
I'm saying it in person, and it's in the minutes.
But that's not the same as something that's in the file when somebody goes back to review this, 10 years from now.
I'm saying it now, and I'll put it in writing if you need me to.
Okay, I guess.
And also, I would have appreciated having more time to absorb this.
And that's fine. I was going to, this was a conversation that occurred after last Wednesday. We couldn't have met the 1 week submittal requirement. We made a decision that we received an opinion, and we are of the opinion that you could approve this. So I apologize for that. I'm happy to grant the continuance, but we went to some lengths to try to explain it. If you'd like me to continue it, I'll continue it, and I'll talk about it on the 10th.
I think the concern, Mike, is, and you and I talked about this afternoon, is they wanted to see the photos. And yes, I did look at some of the photos.
Yeah.
And and when I looked at it, it looked relatively the same.
Yeah.
But what the board is saying is, this hearing was continued back in November of 15.
Yes.
It's like a month later. You did the calculations, you looked at the aerial photos. That information, could have been submitted to the board prior to tonight and saved the 5 minutes worth of discussion we're having right now.
No, well, it couldn't have made a 1-week submittal requirement, and I wanted to get it in and see if you'd entertain
Well, then
it
it couldn't,
tonight.
if it couldn't meet.
then you should have asked for a
Then you should ask
continuance.
for a continuance.
No, I think I can ask for a continuance at the podium. I have a right to see if you're willing to accept a small
Well, in the
amount of
future,
information. Can I
I
just
d-
finish my thought,
Mike, in the
please?
future.
I just want to finish my thought. I think there's information that can be provided that is so minor and inconsequential that you could review and then say, I need more time, I would like a continuance, and continue it. Or if a decision is made to submit the information, then it can't be timely to you. If I'd submitted on a Friday, I think you'd be saying the same thing.
Even
So
3 weeks.
I'm things sometimes aren't, sometimes things happen for reasons beyond control, and you can't meet certain time policies. If you want a continuance, I'll pack my bags and come back on January 10th. I'm not trying to force this to you. I'm trying to just explain what I did, which when you review it, you can consider it with more comprehension, instead of reading it and then having me come back and explain it, and maybe at that point have to ask for yet another continuance. I will
May I
do
make a
whatever
comment?
you feel comfortable doing, Madam Chairman.
Yes, okay.
I was given information and decisions were made
First, if that's okay.
not in time to get you the information in accordance with your policy. That being said, I'm not going to violate your policy. If you want me to request a continuance right now, I will.
Let Jamie go first.
Okay, Jamie? Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's just a procedural question. Does this have to be submitted 5 days before?
No.
I,
Do you know what I mean?
7
Last
days.
hearing,
7 days?
at the
No,
last-
I get all that. All I'm
7
saying,
days
my
before.
point would
You
be
mean this-
simply that even if we got this yesterday, at least there's time to read it. You're giving it to us right now and expecting us to react to it. And I'm not saying we can't, because to your point, it could be something minor. All I'm saying is, procedurally, if it has to be 7 days, it has to be 7 days. That's not me saying that. What I am saying, though, is if we had it 3 days before, at least we could read it ahead of time and know what to ask.
See, I didn't.
That's all I'm saying.
I didn't intend to submit the document you have in front of you. I intended to talk to you tonight. I decided to use that as a show and tell. I was gonna just tell you we did the calculations without submitting any new information.
But the board asked you at the last meeting, Mike, to submit the DCPC calculation.
And we also asked for evidence that nothing else was added.
They asked. The whole point of this was the DCPC calculation. I mean, I'm the one that asked you to bring this in, because I'm like, they asked you to submit the DCPC calculations, and if you had walked in here without this, it would even, like,
Well, I guess I'm happy to do whatever you prefer, but the DCPC calcs aren't like very comprehensive, and it could be explained in, 2 minutes, but I'm happy to continue the
All
hearing.
right. Maury, what
No,
would you like
well,
to say?
I just had one point of order. Asking for these was very important. I came in 2 times to look in the file for these calculations,
Mhm.
and they were never there. And that's what makes us a little frustrated, because we are volunteers, we take our time, we all came in looking for these. They were never submitted in the file, we had requested them a month ago, and whether, they should have been actually, theoretically, in your first application, which was way back in August 23rd, when you submitted this. You have to have your DCPC calculations in your notice. So August, September, October, November, December. There's plenty of time. I don't have any more time. So when I come in, I want them in the file. And I hate to dress you down, but it has been that long, and it was very clear when you left that last hearing to have those calculations, not to give us a pony show, that we really wanted the real calculations, so we can give you a germane, precise determination when you say in here, at our discretion. I don't know what our discretion is. I don't even have the calculations to give you discretion. So that's why it makes it hard for us, Mike, and the applicant, when we're not given the information.
I came here tonight fully expecting there might be a concern about the submittal requirements. I'm happy to continue the hearing. I thought you would have some ability to make a call tonight, and if you want the hearing continued so that you can read that, I'm asking for a continuance. If you want me to explain it so you can have more information, I'm happy to do that too. I defer to you. I am not wasting your time. There was a hearing already scheduled for this evening, and I guess I wasted 7 or 8 minutes of your time.
Betsy?
Well, first of all, I would like you to ask for a continuance.
Yep.
And second, prior to that, by the 3rd, I'd like you to have, not only your calculations, but a letter explaining that you looked into the aerials, all the things that we had asked you. And then explaining what you said you were gonna explain today, you might explain it again on the 10th, so that everybody in the FCTV audience can know. But we should have your reasoning in a letter as, submitted a week before.
Yeah, and we do need something for the file that addresses the question of, whether things have changed or not.
Yes, I will say in a letter what I'm about to say in words to you. Based on my observations of the aerial photos, I can't conclude, it does not appear that there are any alterations that I can see between the time of the project original development till now. I will say that in a letter.
Have the aerial photos too. That would be helpful for them if you take the original aerial photo from like a couple of them at the.
You mean provide the aerial photos?
Yeah, and show them.
Yeah, we have provided those.
Excuse me.
You haven't provided the historical aerials.
In our last submission, we did.
You need to identify yourself, and first I'd like Commissioner
No,
Byrd
no,
to be, you'll
let
wait?
him speak
All right.
and then I'll-
Okay, go ahead.
We can reprint them if needed. Good evening, Paul Bursky. We had submitted the aerial photos. I printed up every single one that I could find on the site. Found the site for those things, I think it was like 5 or 6 of them. They were submitted with our original submission the last time that we all met. I think it was, about a month ago, right? I'm happy to reprint them, provided, still have them.
Commissioner Walsh is going through them right now.
Yeah,
No,
they-
but I think we asked for it the last, because you have the 1975 and then you have the 2005. So you have a 30-year period between your
I can
aerials.
speak, there are no aerials available in the town archives of those years. I can't create an aerial that doesn't exist.
Those aerials do exist, Mike. We have 86, we have 91.
I'm telling you what
I believe we
what I
have
searched.
89.
I'm telling you what I
We have
searched.
95.
But
Isn't there 95?
Call GIS, talk to, because I'm pretty sure, I know we have 86. For definite, I know we have 86. And,
Don't we have
I'm pretty
91
sure
and
we have
95?
91.
And 95? I think there's a 91 and 95 set.
And 2001 and something like that. So I would just go
well,
back.
I will tell you, when you look on the website, there's a pick for aerials, and those dates are, some of those dates are there, but if you click, there's no aerial. The ones that are on the GIS website are the ones that you have.
Again, Mike, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I have sat across the table from you on multiple projects where you have miraculously found aerials dating back to 1965 on some projects. So I'm going to say, I know you have the ability to search other avenues to look at the aerials. So that's what they're asking you to do, not just look at the town's website, but there are avenues, there's Google Earth, there are other avenues that you can look at.
And I'm telling you that on certain projects, they're available. I'm not being argumentative. I can't create what I don't have the ability to find.
Okay, Mr. Bursky.
So I looked myself on the town's website, and every single one that was available there, I printed, and I personally included those in that packet. If there's another source for aerial photos other than the website of the town, that may be the case. I'm not personally aware of that, but I personally checked the website. We could recheck it But personally, it would be to my benefit to be able to go back further in time, because I'm an almanac for the property. I've been there since it was built, and I know that the footprint of the driveway has not changed. The stone that was there, it was all done in '85. And my mother is very meticulous with her records. She literally has a box labeled labels, which her labels are in. But I have the original bills from when the deck was built. I have the bill from when the driveway was constructed and built, and there's actually a photo in here, not a photo, but a drawing done by Lawrence Lynchthorpe from 1985. And it's the same footprint that you'll see in any aerial photo since the house was constructed. It has not changed. So are these valuable from your perspective to submit and relevant?
What's the year on that?
1985, when the house was built. The driveway has not changed. It is the same driveway that's always been there.
Yes, I would say yes.
So, and then the other thing was the crushed stone was a question, and I have the bill for that as well from 1985. So the footprint is the footprint is the footprint. If you look back at the earliest photos that you can find, I included everyone that's on the town website. If there's some avenue to get an older one, they're not gonna change. I know, because we didn't expand the footprint of the altered property. This is the point.
Well, the shed and the fire pit, I don't think were original.
They're in areas that were altered, though. It was crushed stone. It was all stone. And it's where the fire pit is, it's stone and shells now.
I can't tell from there, there's too much trees on them.
Can we continue this to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion to continue to January 10th.
Second.
Anything else for tonight? All right, oh, Courtney.
Yeah, I hate to pile on to Mike, since everybody else has piled on to him. But, Mike, there's a lesson learned here that I remember. I've been on this board for, I guess, 13 years, almost since Methuselah was a child. And I remember having, at one point, back when I was chair for a while, you and I had a discussion that was very similar to this. And that is, this board tends to look a lot more favorably upon applications that are complete. And they cruise through. When there are things that are incomplete or inconsistent, we start to scrutinize this thing, just it's human nature to scrutinize it far more intently. And the result, I don't think I think and this is a case where you kind of, you had heeded that advice. I think your presentations over the years have gotten much better, but I think you kind of, this one you kind of booted a little bit.
Well, I'm going to defend myself, if you don't mind, Madam Chairman. The only information I did not submit in my application is this very basic calculation. My applications are complete and thorough and consistent with all other applications submitted. I think my track record stands for itself. If you want to berate me and try to say that I don't do a proper job, all that I'm submitting is a one-page calculation. And for reasons beyond my control, a decision was made to proceed subsequent from the time frame that I could have. And I thought, as a courtesy to my client, I would see if you'd entertain and listen to it tonight. And you've made it clear that you will not, so we're asking for a continuance. It was a one-page calculation. The timing of submittal was beyond my control. And to portray it in public as though I am not doing a satisfactory job, I take umbrage with that.
We'll see. No other questions?
Mike? I'm not even gonna touch your comment there, because I take issue with some of what you just said. My only thing is when you come back, the last sentence of your submittal on the 570, and you're saying providing native plants enhance, a portion is required in accordance with 1018, a portion is proposed to meet the reduction. In other submittals that the board has had dealing with DCPs, and those are kind of color-coded and kind of sectioned out, so it would be helpful if you just revised the language so that, just to make it easier for them to say that this is required under 1018, and this is what we're doing under DCPC, and just kind of color code it, hash it, or something else, okay? And just so it's just clear, and then that way it's another issue that, you know, won't get all ginned up next time, so, that's it. That's all, Madam Chair.
Peter?
I just want to not pile on Mike, but say in general, all the plans, letters, documents should be in at least 1 week in order for the board members, committee members to get the information and read it in preparation for the meeting.
Okay, I think that point has been made enough tonight. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything new to say? All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue to January 10th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. All right, vote order of conditions, 74 Green Harbor Road.
They're not letting us be quiet?
Should we have the quorum, please, for 74 Green Harbor?
I'm not here.
I think I'm not on it.
I think that's true.
Mass
We had,
exodus?
we had plenty of room at the table last week.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's all
I
right.
thought I was coming down with a wicked cold and I did
Yeah,
not want you to have it.
Mark, Jamie, Mary, Peter, and Kevin.
Unfortunately,
I signed.
unfortunately, my name was not listed because I was the one who listed them, but I didn't put my name on it.
That's right.
I'm also on the forum.
That's red.
I mean, we can do it next week, we have time, or we can do it tonight, doesn't matter.
Mark, Jamie, Betsy, I'm sorry.
Mark, Jamie, Mary, Peter, Kevin, Betsy.
Thank you.
Good night, Courtney.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, good night. We'll see you all before Christmas. And hopefully
Good
we'll
night,
all.
Maury.
I'll be,
Tonight was cold.
yeah, boy, is it cold.
You got a new on this one, sit.
No, I'm not.
Gotcha.
Well, you took that really well, Kevin, thank you. I appreciate that.
Take his coat off, though.
All right, let's move along here. Order of conditions, 74 Green Harbor Road.
The only issue that the staff had with it was, you know, trying to put it in front of,
Right.
and it's because it's been done in the past, and we have seen this kind of incremental encroachment on other areas of town where these walls keep going in front. I understand the reasoning that it may be less damaging to put it, in front instead of behind. I'd like to see them behind the walls. There's a very particular reason why I'd like to see them go behind, but if the board finds that it'd be less problematic in front, that's fine.
I think it would be less problematic.
I think in front is
I think it's less
much more
problematic to put it in
practical and
front.
doable.
Okay,
One other thing,
but be careful in the future, guys, when you do that.
No, I'm not saying
so that-
always,
Just
but
the
in this
consistent
particular
encroachment.
Yeah.
one, some of the
we
ones,
need the reasoning and the findings, of course.
yeah, I mean, this is one where it's kind of paved all the way to it, as opposed to some of the ones where it's just sand behind, Jen?
Mhm.
So I don't have a problem in this one.
That's fine. You don't have to justify it.
One other thing, I had asked that the A and B coastal bank buffers be added to
Oh,
the plan.
revised plan.
Yep.
That was Tim.
Yep,
Oh,
And we also said
yeah.
they should do some borings.
Tim did sit a revised plan. Yep.
that's great.
He did a revised plan, he's so good.
And those are on there?
Well, the A and B buffers are,
Okay.
well, did we construct a composite sheet pile and I don't see any. Soundings or borings.
Were-
but
were you
we
asked for
did have
borings
them-
ahead of
We
time?
have them do it in,
You asked
kind
it
of
as,
conditions.
you asked it as a condition,
For
before they do
93,
it.
Yeah. for
Yeah,
90,
that's what we said we would do in this case.
Condition the boring.
Yep.
I want to understand about those borings. Why are we doing that?
I'll explain it to you, Mark. Because we had a project with a certain engineer, plans are always perfect, who said that the wall could go, slide right in front, there'd be no problem. And did you check the bottom of the harbor to see if there was any problems? No,
Which-
there's no problems. We checked and there's no problems.
Which harbor?
And Falmouth Inner Harbor.
I'm sorry, which one?
In
Falmouth
Harbor.
Inner Harbor.
'Cause
And
this is
when
on-
the contractor-
Let her make her point.
Excuse me.
When the contractor was putting the wall in, he got half the wall in, or a portion of the wall in. I got called out to the site, because they hit a big boulder and they couldn't get rid of it. So they bumped the wall out about 4 feet into the harbor. I had to make a decision in the field, and it went all the way to an adjudicatory hearing when the neighbor and the abutter basically appealed the project, called Chapter 91, and yes, it was a mistake in the field that the staff made. Hi, studio audience. And I am very sensitive to the fact that you don't know what's below the mud line in these areas, and that things can happen. And staff is the one that has to deal with these things when it happens. So I like to take precautions and have the walls go behind the existing walls. And then I can kind of know for sure that that will be fine. But it was a very hard lesson learned by this board and by the staff, and so I'm a little bit sensitive to the fact that I like to see borings along the bottom, you know. And the last time we required it, the contractor did it, and then the wall went in flawlessly.
So we're talking 50 borings or 100 borings?
As many as it takes so they can figure out if they're going to, you know, run into an obstruction.
I mean, we're in the outwash plain. There's hardly anything out there,
But there are some things.
except a lot of cobble, but there's little stuff like this.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I'm not gonna argue with you, Mark. You guys can condition it however you would like it. I'm telling you.
We already
in
told you what we
my
want. We
experience
want them
over
to
the
do
last
some
12
borings
years.
ahead of time.
But just to ask,
Jamie,
if we
yes.
were, yeah, I'm sorry.
What was that? No,
Go ahead. Jamie has the floor.
Just as a fact, I had some discussion with the people putting in the freshwater treatment plant up in Long Pond, and I was concerned about the same issue, because they're digging a long line in to get the water out of the pond. And I said, you're going to run into boulders. What are you going to do about that? And they said, there aren't any boulders there. This is on the outwash side of the moraine, and in fact, there weren't any. So I just worry about doing more work than's necessary. But if they're super
Well,
cheap,
then
maybe it doesn't
next time
matter.
this happens in the field, Mark, I can call you down and you can make a decision in the field when the contractor has half the wall in.
Jen,
Well,
Sorry,
then they,
I'm a little sensitive
pull
to
over it.
that.
my recollection is that the engineer was not particularly worried about this.
concerned about the cost, you
No,
mean?
that's fine.
Well,
They can
that's
just-
okay, I
they can
just,
I'm not talking about doing like just a probe, not a
It's
bore,
probes
but
all the
just-
way
they're just gonna
along.
drive something in
Probe, yeah, just
every
probe
few
it,
feet.
Just make sure you're fine. I'm not talking bringing in like a drone
Okay.
and do a bore.
You're just looking for the obvious.
Yeah.
But if we required this to be done behind the existing, then the borings would be unnecessary. Is that accurate?
why would you say that?
I mean,
That's a
they
question.
can run into anything. I mean, they can run into anything.
Because in theory, they would have already
Behind-
run into something.
Be almost the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
My
I mean-
issue in the last.
I mean,
project-
There's no guarantee of anything, right?
Right.
I
There's
mean,
no guarantee.
they could bore here, but here's something.
Exactly, that's-
We've all seen that in the
How
building
close can you put
trades.
them?
Yeah,
you know,
unfortunately, you know.
But that is my question is, if we said we want it to be done behind the existing,
You
would we
still don't
then
know.
preclude
Right, I-
test borings?
Well, you
Well,
still
yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't
It would, my concern
Really
is
see what the
jetting
difference
these
is.
things out farther into the resource areas. That's what I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the example I gave you, is the wall jutted into Falmouth Inner Harbor.
No, I get that part, but
They can run into anything. I mean, I would imagine that they would want to do borings to make sure these walls go in. You know, I can't imagine why they wouldn't, but you don't know.
I don't know. I would think they would at least want to find out in general.
Yeah, in
That's a-
general.
That's about,
the obvious.
please, it just brings up so many nightmares. One of the first projects I worked on, the boring plan called for a zigzag
A grid.
down, about a half a mile down this road. And managed to miss a seawall that was put in the 1700s. It was like we hired a surveyor to just miss all the boring. So, there's only so
Yeah.
much you can.
There's only so much you could do, and when I say borings, I just kind of mean probing along the wall to make sure, in general, I'm not asking you to go like every 5 inches, I'm just saying,
Right.
just go down and look. And the last time we asked the contractor to do that, they did it, and it was fine. So all I'm asking is just to make sure there's no large obstruction that they can't get around when they're putting the wall in the front. And I don't really think that that is too much to ask.
And the fact is, if they did find it, then we may
They would
say,
know.
come back and we'll put it, in this case,
Yes.
you are gonna have to put it behind.
So you plan to define how many of these, not borings, but probes, you think are necessary?
I have to look at how many feet, I had it on in Falmouth Inner Harbor on the last one we did. And then remember Jim Schultz did the boring, did the probing, if you want to call it that. He just took a long like spike and just probed every couple of feet. That's all.
Yeah, okay. Betsy,
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
wait a minute, we
No,
have to
wait.
vote this
No.
order.
Oh,
We gotta approve.
All right, so,
Calm down.
we
Just
haven't
to-
even put the order on the table, right? I'll make a motion to accept this as discussed.
That's what we
Okay.
thought. you were-
That's what we're,
yes, that's what I was
Second.
expecting.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off.
Okay, so I would like somebody, maybe Betsy, to summarize. It's going in front, is that
Going in
correct? And we're doing probes, we're requiring probes.
Yeah.
Is that what
Every-
everybody says we agreed
5
to?
feet.
Yeah, I think the probes have to be done before the construction work, but,
Oh, yeah.
but not before we approve.
No, absolutely, right, it's
Not
a
before what?
order of condition.
Not before
It's
we-
a condition that has to be
Well, it'll be a
done.
condition, so.
It's condition.
Yeah, right, okay.
When a manner of speaking, it is approved.
Yeah, and then
There-
we
Okay.
usually, and Peter, we usually have an on-site with the marine contractor doing the work, so we'll talk to them when we on-site about putting the wall in, how they're gonna do it, what kind of probing they did along the wall and that.
Okay,
So there'll be a pre-construction
good.
meeting.
all right, good. All right, let's take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Can I do that now?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. That was very well timed. This-
Thank you.